honestly with integrity in all matters placed before us. Continue to bless us with your great love and care. In your most blessed name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Maria. And now to lead us in the pledge and forward test is Riggs Lewis, Assistant Vice President of Health Policy at Norton Healthcare.
Join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Join me in the four-way test.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
It is always our pleasure to welcome guests, and we have a very, very special guest today with us. Mr. Herb Bradshaw, there. Herb is a self-taught recycle artist and a retired veteran. Herb's mixed media art consists of recycled beverage cans, paper, and wood. And there are some samples on the table in the back. Before you guys go, be sure and take a look at them. He uses embossed detail to bring his work to life with the movement of reflected light. Each piece is original and he's open to custom requests. And we're fortunate to have some of those today. So please take a look at it. We are going to present the mayor with something from Rotary, and Herb is going to help us create a nice memento since this will be his last State of the City address before Rotary in February 10th. Okay, now Rotarians, please take this time to introduce yourself first, then your guests, and guests, please stand to be recognized when your name is called. Do you have any guests today? Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Maggie Harlow. I'm in Ntaba downtown. Delighted to see everybody. I've been taking a little break from coming to Rotary, so I'm thrilled to be here, not on Zoom. And I brought my guest, Stacy Ramathal, who is a teacher at St. Raphael.
Stacy, if you want to learn more about Rotary, we have Craig Sherman. Is Craig here today? With the What is Rotary table. After the meeting, please join him and he'll answer any questions you might have about Rotary. I am excited to announce the launch of a new membership program. We now have a spouse partner membership category with no entrance fee, our lowest dues rate of $100 per quarter. So if you are interested, I know Larry and some others have expressed interest, scan the QR code on your table or just watch for a link in your survey that's going to come today or tomorrow. We'd be happy to have any of your spouses or partners join us as a member of the Rotary Club of Louisville. And we're always pleased to highlight Rotarians in the spotlight. Mark Cole, founder of Capitalist Planning Partners at Northwestern Mutual and Paul Harris Fellow +4, was recently ranked number 21 on the very first Forbes list of the top 250 financial security professionals in the United States. So congratulations to Mark. Love it when our Rotarians make the news. Okay, time for the Cajun culture class. So, question. You will find masks or painted faces on every person on a Mardi Gras parade float. Why? A, because it's fun. 2, because it's the law. Or 3, to hide your identity. You gotta be C? All right, who thinks it's C? Raise your hand. Okay, who thinks it's A? Raise your hand. Who thinks it's B? It's B. It's the law. It is illegal to ride on a parade float without a mask or face paint. So there you go. Well, yeah, by the Mardi Gras party. We do have a Mardi Gras party. It's moved to the Black Jockey's Lounge, which used to be Cunningham's on 4th Street. It's still on February 24th, so save the date, stay tuned for more details. Now, I would like to invite Maggie Harlow, co-owner of Sinorama Downtown, to the stage to introduce today's incredible speakers. You guys are gonna really enjoy this presentation. Thank you, Jean's concerned about my safety. Thank you. Great to see everybody. I'm a last minute fill-in, and it was an immediate yes. First, because I wanted to see everybody, gave me a good spark to be back, but also because the gentleman that you're gonna meet today is really interesting, charming, fascinating, ambitious. He's the real deal, so you're gonna really enjoy this. Robin and Stella Mountain are native South Africans and certified by South African Tourism as guides who personally lead and accompany the majority of Ntaba African Safaris scheduled tours to Africa. Robin has trekked through the jungles of Uganda and Rwanda with the gorillas and the chimpanzees and summited Mount Kilimanjaro 3 times. He's traveled throughout Africa, speaks the local languages, has a degree in animal science, and has extensive knowledge of the African cultures, wild animals, bird life, and coffee. Robin and Stella have visited many coffee plantations in countries like Ethiopia and Tanzania, and after seeing the farms, meeting the people who pick the coffee, and experiencing the best coffee from the soil to the cup, they knew they wanted to find a way to get the coffee to America. Hence, Ntaba Coffee Haus was born in Louisville, Kentucky, offering organic, fair trade, fresh roasted coffee sourced from the best farms in Africa. It is a center for communication and engagement collaboration and features goods for sale from local businesses and artists. Robin was recently featured in the Vogue magazine Global Men of Excellence issue. Please welcome Robin Mountain.
Guys, thank you very much. I speak 6 languages. Which one would you prefer? Okay, Lobeli, namhlanje sikhuluma kahle, sikhuluma Zulu. Ninjani mfazi? That wouldn't work too well. Guys, it's an absolute privilege. It's an absolute privilege for me to be here. It's going to be hard to put what I've done in my crazy lifetime in 20 minutes, but I will try very, very aptly. I went to Pretoria Boys High. Does anybody else know anybody famous in the financial world from Pretoria Boys High? Guys, I'm going to teach you. Where did Elon Musk go to school? Pretoria Boys High, okay. But the problem is both of us were high school dropouts. And you see what's happened to poor old Elon. Shame, poor guy. Right, guys, both my wife Stella, who's sitting there in the white, and myself are 5th generation South Africans. We speak 6 languages. And would anybody be able to guess why I immigrated to the USA? I mean, what did I want to do here when I loved Africa as much as I did? Miss West thought this was quite funny. I specialize in artificial insemination of honey queen bees. Not horses, honey queen bees. Honey bees are not native to America. They were brought over by the settlers. And I ran a very large queen bee breeding operation in California, which I loved. We had over 20,000 colonies of honeybees. And as I said, my job was to maintain a breeding population. I was then headhunted, I still don't have one left, by Kentucky State University, by KSU, which I absolutely loved. I really enjoyed it. With the same disease that Elon Musk has, I have as well. We battled to work for a salary. And while I was working at Kentucky State, of course I was teaching all over the country, including Charlotte, Somalia, and the Virgin Islands, and Hamilton and Bermuda. We started a safari company in 2005. And simply by taking a group of 30 beekeepers over to Africa, but then after that was simply saying, would you like to join me on a safari to Africa? And I had a lady from Louisville by the name of Brenda Bush who joined me on one of the groups. And she gave me a phone number one day and said, you need to call Carmine Esposito. And many of you might not realize that I do have a very bad stutter that I have been able to overcome most of the time. But just thinking of speaking to this guy was just, that just brought on the stutter 10 times worse, eh? Anyway, call Carmine, and let's just say how many years later we've taken the University of Louisville's alumni to Africa with us 5 times. And they've done the gorillas and the migration of the wildebeest in Tanzania as well. So anyway, we've plodded along, we've had fun. 2008, 9, and 10, I really thought that our business was going to go into the adventure travel. So I quickly summited Kilimanjaro 3 years in a row. Guys, it's an arduous journey. I'm very privileged for every time I was able to summit. So I did it in 2008, 9, and 10. 2011, I had a stroke. And I was able to help myself through a lot of it because of overcoming the stutter like I have. That's my other family. On safari, that's known as an Oreo cookie. We have a lot of fun when we go when I take people on safari. It's basically taking somebody home. A lot of groups get to meet my mother in Cape Town to have tea with my mum. My mum's a hooligan. She's an absolutely awesome woman. Broke her hip the other day. Couldn't wait to get out of the hospital. I think that should help her out. And a couple of months later, she's walking around in a walking stick in another line. When I was the first few, in fact, just before we left Africa, we've been privileged enough to start a protective clothing company for beekeepers. And what we did is we imported the material from Europe, as well as from Swaziland, which is an independent country right next to us, the material we bought there. And we made the protective clothing for the beekeepers that we actually, it was actually a beautiful group of ladies that we employed. They were all women whose husbands had died from HIV/AIDS. So a lot of these women, the first time they ever touched a sewing machine in their life was when they worked for Mountain Bee Products. No, that's what we call the business, Mountain Bee Products. And I'll never forget when I was at one of the beekeepers meetings here in Austin, Texas. And I called home and I said to my wife, I hope you're sitting. So she said, oh God, what have you done wrong? So I said, no, one of the largest beekeeping companies in America wants to buy 300 of these and 500 of those and 1,000 of those. And she says, hey, shut up. Anyway, so that helped us. And what was really beautiful was immigrating is not easy. I don't know for any of you who have immigrated from another country, we know the tough. We know how tough it is. We know how hard it is when our next of kin die back in Africa. But as we were leaving, we were able to give this business away to an organization that started an orphanage. And the orphanage's name is Uzwilo, which basically means we love. And it's still going, but one of the biggest problems that we realized later on with an orphanage, it's not, we can all put our money into starting an orphanage, we can all put our money into helping an orphanage, but what happens when those kids leave? And that's a real issue that we're trying to address and we're trying to overcome. But just think about it, guys, please, if you're helping organizations like that, please make sure that you're helping with that next phase. A lot of the girls will get out, and of course, the first thing they do to earn money, get them pregnant, and then you have that whole situation with that. Okay, I love you, wife. Guys, this is one of the most amazing experiences in life, and one of the things that we love about the safari company is what we share with you. What am I doing when I'm on safari with you? Does anybody know what I'm doing? I'm looking at your face. I'm looking at your faces. I'm looking at that, how much you're enjoying it and appreciating it. And we'll see a slide a bit later on with an organization that our group have been able to, or been privileged to start, is a group called Zabra, Z-A-B-R-A. And we actually collect ladies' bras that we take to Africa. Every time you travel internationally, you're allowed 2 suitcases. Unless you travel in business class, you're allowed 4. That's when I really love you, because then you can take a lot of suitcases. And you only need 1 suitcase. So what we say is packed for a purpose. And we actually collect ladies' bras in our coffee shop on Brownsboro, 2407, the old Pizza Hut that I took over. And So and every time you go, even if you haven't been able to collect a full suitcase, we will help you get the suitcases of bronze. This is an amazing game reserve that we support a lot in the local Kruger area. And in fact, it was Paul Kruger. Who knows what Paul Kruger was famous for? Kruger National Park. He was the first president of the Union of South Africa. And it's Paul Kruger, it's not Paul Kruger himself, it's his great-great-great-granddaughter, Jeanette Kruger, and she's based in London. She's done about 200,000 bras, and we've done about 20,000. We haven't done too many, but we've done enough. And one of the ways I really got involved in it was, we did a big bra drop just outside Cape Town, between Kalichin and Goode. And I had this beautiful young girl come up and give me a handwritten note. And us guys know how blasé we are with that. We take it written up and say thank you, thank you, thank you. And that evening I'm getting to my car, and as the sun is setting over Ntaba Mountain, and all very romantic and whatever else, I take that note out, and it simply said, "Thank you, sir. Now I can go for a job interview." And that's why I don't feel embarrassed to ask anybody, if you're not wearing it, I want it. So as I say, it's a privilege that my wife and I have. We've actually taken bras from Ethiopia all the way down through South Africa. We've got bras in Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda. So as I say, please guys, if you can help us with that. All right, how did I land up in Louisville? I got horribly lost. No. In fact, let me tell you a lovely story of how my eldest son landed up in Louisville. I was teaching at Kentucky State University, and I was called into the bursar's office one day. And he called me and he said, "Would you close the door behind you, Mr. Mountain?" Like, don't be asked that. Don't be asked that job, and I closed the door behind me. They said to me, "Did you fill this form out correctly?" I said to him, "What form was it?" It was a student exchange program form. So I said to him, I might have made a mistake, but I said, "Did you fill this form out honestly?" It was like, "Okay, what's up, dude? I mean, if I'm lying, just say so." He says to me, "Are you really a fifth generation African?" I said, "Yes, I am." What's the problem? He says to me, so that makes your son a sixth generation African. So I said, "I don't have a PhD in mathematics, but 5 and 1 does happen to be 6. So he says to me, "Can we reclassify your son?" So I do apologize. I was a little bit, I didn't know what he was talking about. So I said, "Well, can he still stay with us?" So my son was reclassified as an African American, and he did a full undergraduate right into German. So anyway, my daughter, on the other hand, I get a call from, she was at Franklin County in Frankfurt. I get a call from her counselor, and her counselor says, "We're going to have problems with your daughter in her senior year." Like, I'm confused. She's a 4.49 GPA. What's the problem? And so she says she's just too bored. So she goes over, spends her half her senior year with my mother in South Africa, who lives in a fishing village called Mossel Bay. And while she's there, she qualifies as an open water scuba diving. She does international surf lifeguarding, and of course she submitted Kilimanjaro with me the last time I climbed it. So she applies for the Mitch McConnell scholarship. And I mean, what chance? Did we even have our, no, of course she was still a green card. She's got a green card. So anyway, Mitch takes a look at this and looks at this, and I mean, when did he last have a person applying who's done what this young 17-year-old has done? So Mitch says, I want this girl. And one of his aides says, "She's not a citizen." So of course, what did Mitch McConnell do? Make her one now. So just over a week later, my daughter was an American citizen. All right, as far as moving to Louisville, in Frankfurt, our safari company was doing well. I'd started to import coffee because of my love for Africa. I am an African, you can't beat it out of me with a stick even if you try, okay? And how could we give back? We had the food company that you see in the back there. That's actually the plans for our next coffee shop, which is going to be on Fern Valley, just across the road from the Ford manufacturing plant. And what do I do? How do I do it? I started importing coffee from Tanzania and Ethiopia, and having it roasted in Atlanta and trying to move it online with the groceries. And that just didn't work because coffee is something you want to sit on and taste. And so I started on, when we arrived here in 1999, before our big friend Uncle COVID came to visit, and I took over the Pizza Hut, that's that 2407 Brownsburg, just up the road from Kroger. And it's not the dirty Kroger, it's the Kroger with the small aisles, okay? It's the Kroger with the small aisles. And anyway, I should have thrown a hand grenade into that building and just cleaned it out like that. But anyway, we cleaned it out, and so in there we have the safari office, we have the coffee shop, and I have a little 2 kilogram roaster. Do you want to know how big a 2 kilogram roaster is? It's very small. And we roast all our coffee right there. We don't do any blends because every coffee that we roast, we actually give it an animal name, we give it a color, and of course the country of origin. Another thing that we do, we don't do fair trade. And that upset some people like, oh, you don't? No, we go beyond fair trade, we go to direct trade. As I was mentioning, I was actually in one of our coffee plantations in Tanzania a few months ago. It feels like a few weeks ago. And I had the privilege of a little kid jumping onto my lap. I'm not talking with his little rear end. He physically took his feet around and jumped onto my lap. I was sitting in a box. And he just thanked us because the interpreter had introduced me as the Mzungu who is buying our coffee or their coffee so that they can go to school. And that for me is, that's what I want. It just, to me, it's a privilege for Sarah and myself to have grown up. And this is not, some people find it offensive, but it's the way we grew up, to see little black kids running to school. They run to school, they're excited to go to school. What do our kids here say? How far do I go to walk to the bus? Most kids are excited about it. And that is our aim. And as we franchise Ntaba Coffee Haus, I'm very, very particular about who gets a franchise and who doesn't. And it's going to be somebody who has the love for Africa that we have. It's going to be somebody who has the passion, who somebody wants to do what we do for Africa. And in fact, every year of a franchisee, they're going to go on once they've been a franchisee for a year, they're going to go on a safari with us to Africa to actually go meet the coffee growers so that they can have their story as well. Right, what are some of the hairiest moments that I've had on safari? Darlene heard the story. I was doing one of my final qualifications to become a guide. And I was with a chap by the name of Robbie Lundy. And as I walked around the bush, because Robbie was armed, I wasn't, because I had to what you call walk a big fight. So that day I had a lion, big ass male lion, the mane as big as this. And so I saw him go down the gully. So I thought, okay, and I had one client with me, a little lady from Frankfort, Kentucky by the name of Virginia Lester. Anyway, so as I doing the correct thing, because I'm a white South African, I was drafted into the military, 2 years military or 5 years in jail. Not sure how long you spent in jail, but 5 years was about 4 months, 11 months, and 29 days to run for me. So I'm used to the bush very well, and I'm going behind him, and I'm about to. This guy just runs around this big ass bush, and he comes flying at us. It's like, I'm toast. But anyway, I didn't realize, and you don't, under circumstances like that, like guys, when you go on safari with me, you're not going to get out of the vehicle because you're not doing your qualifications like I did. Anyway, this guy comes rushing at me. You don't realize, but he's actually patting as he's running. But I mean, he stopped right there. The dust on me and all this. It's like, oh my God. But luckily, I could grab Virginia, who was right next to me, little Virginia, but I just held her, and I just exploded ourselves like that. And I tell you the story because a lot of us who are in marketing do this wonderful presentation until somebody stands up and says, hey, Robin, do you remember the mistake you made? So anyway, I'm in Kroger in Frankfort, Kentucky, and I'm trying to convince a couple to join that safari, and it's very nice, and it's lovely, and it's safe, and we do all the rest. Virginia calls from around the corner, Robin, tell them about the time the lion chased us. With that, thank you very much for the privilege of sharing with you. And as I say, for us, it's a privilege to do what we do in our lives. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Mom's music. okay? Unbelievable people. The day that we were about to declare bankruptcy, to just close the doors and say, there goes the key in the Ohio River. I'm walking out of our, good catch, eh?
Good catch.
I'm walking out of our location in Melwood Arts Centre. That was our second one that we opened, but we've actually closed since then. And this hippie-looking individual walks in front of me and walks in and then walks out again. And I'm thinking like, oh my God, my coffee shop is so bad. People just walk in and walk out. And that was Mark Maxwell. And he comes up to me and says to me, do you own this place? I'm thinking like, dude, if you know what I've come here to do today, you won't even talk to me. So I said to him, yes, I do. Why? So he says to me, well, will you give me 5 minutes? I'm thinking like, dude, do you want to sell me insurance or lead me to Buddha, Allah, Jesus, and all the rest, you know? So I'm very anti with him. And he says to me, I own Mum's music. So I said, well, where be? I don't. And I told him what I was doing. And it was the most amazing thing. Martin hugged me and said, I'll make sure that you guys don't. And the love that we have had, Maggie, the love and the acceptance that we have received since we arrived here in Louisville. The circumstances have been awful, but the love that we have received has been absolutely amazing. Herb, I'd like to just stand up for 1 second, please. Do you see how big Herb is? It's a big man.
Yeah.
Herb stands next to me one day in our coffee shop. And if you know what personal space in Africa is, that's personal space. So Herb's standing right next to me here one day. And I look at him and I say, so where in Africa are you from? I'm from Atlanta. All right, guys, that's me.
No, you gotta tell the other stories.
Okay, right, guys, one of the things that I mentioned is the schools that we support. I happen to have the privilege of being in that school in September. What we're doing through our safari company is we're building we're getting a well site for those kids. The company that I use in Tanzania, as soon as we can raise a bit more money, because safaris, anybody can travel on safari right now, please believe me, okay? You're safer on safari than what I have at home. Beautiful little kids. As I told Miss West, I have lots and lots of children in Africa. These are my children. This is one of the orphanages that we do support in Kigali, in Rwanda. And this was amazing. This was the University of Louisville's alumni when we were in Sydney. Don't you just know you're going for the wrong time? And it was a wonderful thing. We actually bought them a merry-go-round for the same group, but just in a different area. And as I say, one of the things that I say about traveling with us is not, you're not going to go and take something, but what are you going to give? There you go. Who's that beautiful lady up there? You go. Okay, my shoes, okay. A little bit embarrassing time, I lost my soul. This was my first gorilla trek. I had to swim the BBC News broadcasting team across the river, and I kept my boots on and I lost my soul. There you go. All right, guys, thank you very much. And this was an absolute privilege.
Don't you want to join us?
Here. Sure. You know, it's better to have, right? Okay. What a story. This is awesome. First of all, you're in Ntaba. Tell us what that means.
Sorry, the word Ntaba is our last name in Zulu. It's one of the 6 languages that we speak, and Jean has just been renamed. I don't know, I think you like it. The word west in Zulu is Ushonalanga. Ushonile means to die. The word Mpumalanga, which is east for the province in South Africa, but we should call you Jean Shonalanga. Sorry, Shonalanga.
Shonalanga.
There we go.
Just west, Shonalanga. Is it, will it fit on my? All right, wonderful story. Will you keep that? And we're gonna just chat. And Larry has a question. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I loved your talk. I'd like to get a little more color on Rwanda and the great apes. we have had a trip planned for the last 2 years that has been canceled because of COVID. Although we know somebody that went to Kigali and went on the grills for like the 5th time she's gone, and there was nobody there, so she said she felt perfectly safe. You kind of indicated that in your talk just now, that it's a good time to go because you're not going to get COVID there. You have more chance of getting COVID here. But Rwanda is very strict about your COVID. If you come in and you have COVID, you have to isolate for like so many days. No, you're saying no.
That's just thinking of. No. I was in Rwanda 2 months ago, and I think that's about the 24th, 25th time that I've done guerrilla trekking. And you get checked coming in, but you will be checked before you leave here. So if you are negative arriving there or leaving here, you really should be negative arriving there. And the chance of getting COVID in Rwanda is very, very low. But
Yeah.
thanks for asking. Let me know if we can help you as well.
Yeah. So talk a bit about what may be the best time of year. This trip has been scheduled for August, but now we have something that's come up and we have to change it to earlier, maybe in July. Is there a best time of the year to go see the great apes? And you're not guaranteed, I know, of seeing them. You have to buy a permit to see them, and it's expensive and it's not refundable, but I think the guides, from what I've heard, know where they are most of the time. What's your experience?
Yeah, correct. In fact, the guides are one of the most successful stories that I have been involved in Africa. We have taken former poachers. Remember, a poacher is just really one man's meat supplier, and you supply the vegetables, you supply the rice. So we've taken the poachers and trained them to be guides. And yes, that permit is expensive. It's about $1,500, but that goes towards the guerrilla project. And what happens is these men and women, by the way, some beautiful women guides will go up in the very early hours of the morning, or else sometimes spend the night. And they will follow, because what's happened is the guerrilla troops have become habituated. Nobody goes up and strikes them and says, hello, how are you doing? They have been habituated. We only allow 1 hour with them. This last time I was there, we wore masks, but we only allow 1 hour with them. Best time of the year, probably July till December, because that's between the heavy rains, but that doesn't mean anything. But it's an absolute must experience. As I said, out of the 24 times I've done them, and I've done them in both Uganda and Rwanda. It's an amazing experience.
All right. Well, thank you. I can testify. I've been to Africa, and once with Rowan Bonnick here, we went on a Rotary trip to Kenya and went on a safari for 3 days at the end of that trip. And then Helen and I went for about 10 days to South Africa, Tanzania, and Kenya about 2019, I guess it was. And it's just totally amazing. It's a beautiful place. The people are friendly, and I'm just saying it's a great opportunity. If anybody has any fear of going to Africa, just do away with it because it's a perfectly safe place.
Thank you, Mary. Stella, I would like for you to talk about your project with the bras and why that's a necessity in Africa.
Many ladies don't have bras. As Robin was mentioning, that young girl, she didn't feel confident to go for a job interview. So there's just been a big need. Those bras go to, we distribute them into orphanages, women's shelter crisis centers. So women who've got rape crisis centers, yeah. So, and also, there've just been wonderful stories. One of the ladies, she got one of our bras, and all of a sudden we got a report that she didn't have any more backache. And she, we just take it for granted to have a bra, but in Africa it's not that everybody's got, and it really helped people. So we've just seen the privilege and the benefit that people get from wearing bras and taking them. And it's also something very easy and small to take. So if we pack some clothing like jeans, it's heavy, but we can fit 200 to 300 bras into one suitcase. So the privilege and we can send a blessing out to many more people than just a few people.
Thank you. Riggs Lewis, Robin, so thank you so much. I have a coffee addiction. If you're living in Kentucky, and bourbon is everybody here in Kentucky has an opinion on bourbon. On coffee, what is the best area of Africa, the bean? Do you have a favorite? So I'm leaving here to go to your store after this.
Absolutely, I think my favorite is from Malawi, and that's the fish eagle coffee. And one of the things that I love to, it's just statistic I gave, Lake Malawi is 365 kilometers long by 52 kilometers wide. One of the easiest things we can remember. And it has over 800 species of fish in it. That's got nothing to do with coffee, but it just sounds cool. It's a medium roast that we do, and it's in fact, even our decaf is an amazing Tanzanian coffee. But as I say, in fact, right now we've just got a very nice Ethiopian coffee that is just going onto the shelf called gelato. It's because the animal we've named it after is the gelato baboon. And that's a good coffee for me.
What is your favorite?
I love the African fish eagle as well, which is from Malawi. But you know, the coffee actually originates from Africa. I don't know whether everybody knows that. Or that's where it originally comes from, and it is in Ethiopia. So the coffee in Africa grows along the Rift Valley. So all the way from Ethiopia down to Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, Congo. Then you also get it in Zambia and Malawi. So that is the range where coffee really grows there. And you know, before we started having our own coffee, I would drink coffee, but I always would add milk or sugar or anything like that, because that just is how you have coffee and it tastes good. Well, since we've roasted our own coffee and we get the organic beans, I can drink coffee black, and I prefer it that way because it's got its own flavor, its own character. So you can actually taste, it's like when you're into wine tasting, they say, oh, I can taste the blueberries or whatever else. Well, in coffee, you get exactly the same. And that is what I really enjoy about the coffee that we bring in. It's a green beans, we know that where they're coming from, and they are freshly roasted. That's another big secret on our beans. We roast them fresh every week. And yeah, so the coffee is absolutely fantastic. And I prefer the African fish eagle, the dark one, but I also love all the coffees because sometimes it's nicer to have a lighter coffee. Also the lighter roast coffee, it's more caffeine. It has got more caffeine in it. So if you need something to really get you going in the morning, yeah.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Miles Brown. Thank you so much for being here today. It's been fascinating. I'm really fascinated with the Zabra idea. I have a group, 10 and 11-year-old girls in a Girl Scout troop who like to donate things. And that could be something that we could do with you. But I noticed the school picture, and you brought tears to my eyes about little boy running to school. What about the girls? Are they getting to go to school as well? How does that work?
Absolutely no discrimination. In fact, a lot of the boys are the ones who stay home to tend the flocks. So in fact, education is far more prevalent in girls in Africa. But as far as we can, and as far as we can ascertain, and as far as we can maintain, we're not discriminating on gender.
Hello, Robin. Thank you for being here. Tom Crimmins. My wife and I had the opportunity to take a trip to South Africa a few years ago. Incidentally, it was part of it was a safari trip that we won in a Rotary auction contest. And we tied it in with some other side trips there. And one of them was a down day we had in Johannesburg. The hotel arranged for us to have a tour guide take us around Soweto. Very interesting in and of itself. And he was a fellow that had lived under apartheid, a black man who had lived in Soweto. And at the end of the tour, we ended up at Nelson Mandela's house. So here I am, in a place that would be hard to be further away on the planet from than where I'm from. And when I come into one of the rooms inside his childhood home, what do I see on the wall? A college certificate from Kentucky State University, an honorary diploma. And I wondered if you knew about that and if you knew any more information about it.
I do. Let me just start with this little caveat. I actually ran against Nelson Mandela in the 1994 elections. We had a party called the ACDP, African Christian Democratic Party, and we still have our leader in the parliament, which they tried to burn down the other day. And quick little one about Nelson Mandela. Does anybody know who his prison mate was?
His president?
His prison mate, yeah. An Indian guy. His name was Ahmed Kathrada. Ahmed Kathrada also got a degree from UK University, as well as his wife. Anybody know who his wife is? Her name is Barbara Hogan. And Barbara Hogan is my late father's first cousin. So politics has got funny. Now I do know about that. There's also a picture of Muhammad Ali and Mandela together as well, which I found very fascinating. Another really great privilege that we have, especially when we're in Cape Town, we have Nelson Mandela's prison warder, a guy named by the name of Christo Brand. They are our guest speaker at a lot of our dinners. And this prison warder, we don't always have the best reports of those guys, actually smuggled Zinzi Mandela into prison on Robben Island, that Nelson could touch his little granddaughter. And his son used to receive handwritten notes from Nelson Mandela saying, "With love from Uncle Nelson."
It just shows you it is a small world, very small world.
Yes, hello, I'm Barbara Sexton Smith, and I think I heard you mention the word franchising, and then you mentioned the location opening soon on Fern Valley Road across from the Ford plant. So is that location a franchise unit? And then my question is, are you ready to start franchising? If so, how do people get information to do that so we may share with other people?
I don't want to market directly from here because that's not the correct thing to do, but I will gladly speak to you about it. Know that the unit on Fern Valley is going to be, in fact, it's going to be the flagship company for the franchising. I will give you details. You will be able to get details through Darlene on the franchising. We're just going to see me at the coffee shop. But as I say, I'm thinking of the franchising out of here, not out of here. So thank you.
Exactly, and I'm asking this question for some other folks in Louisville that I would love to help them do their own wealth building through your operation. Thank you.
Thank you. I've just had a wonderful meeting with Mr. Fields, just when we started. I'm going to be working with Kevin. I've been desperate to start a coffee shop on the west side. I really have. And I want it owned by somebody from the west side, and if preferable a lady. And I'm going to, in fact, they will become a stepchild to Ntaba Coffee Haus.
I just wanted to say, had I not accepted this role, I would be the next franchise owner of Ntaba. So I could be sitting in a coffee shop, sipping coffee all day, and here I am.
I'm still got my idea.
And I will say, if you are going to stop by the store, they have a wonderful little grocery area in the back where I spend all my money because it's wonderful goods directly from South Africa, and you have to try that. One last question, if we have time. You talked about the artificial, and this is maybe racy for a Rotary meeting, but you talked about the artificial insemination of bees. How the heck does that work?
Do you guys serve supper tonight? No, we actually do it. We do it through an instrument. Okay, we don't. Okay, I anesthetize the queen bee with carbon dioxide. When I open her vagina, we use two different hooks, one on the string. The biology of a queen bee is very different to a mammal. So we use a tool to get the semen, and then the semen I get from the drone by coaxing him to ejaculate, and the semen actually floats on top of mucus, and it doesn't all together. So we actually get that semen off into a pipette that we then are then use to inseminate the green. There we go. Thank you.
There.
You guys want to guess? You want to guess what my kids told their friends at school when we arrived?
I'm Charlie Elbers. I just want to let you know, I've been to Africa. I've been to see the gorillas twice. And this one, in my observations, we had a little bit different. One, you know, it was safe. We had a great time. Wasn't any doubt about that. But it wasn't until the trip was almost over that we realized that there was a truck full of soldiers in front of us and a truck full of soldiers behind us. And they kind of kept, I guess they kept the poachers and kept us safe. But anyway, so that was kind of interesting. And the second thing, we did see the gorillas. And the second thing was, it was interesting because we wore long underwear almost the whole time. It's unbelievable. We were there, I think, in March or April. And we climbed the Virunga Mountains all the way up to where Diane Fossey's grave was. And so it was interesting, but we wore like it was nippy out there. And the funny thing was, when I jumped into my bed the first time, I felt something warm in the bottom of the bed. And I said, my God. I kept thinking of a snake, but then I said, snakes are cold-blooded. They're not supposed to be warm. I said, what the heck is in my bed? And my wife was with me, and I said to her, I said, Norma, I said, I'm going to jerk this sheet off real quick, or this blanket off, and see what the heck is in my bed. So I jerked it off, and guess what? It was hot water bottles. The nice people that took care of us, you know, was trying to warm our bed up, and they put these hot water bottles in, and they didn't tell us. So anyway, it was a good experience.
All right, guys, another hand for our guests. That's amazing. So we'll all be stopping by for coffee, by the way. I think you'd like I'll give you like 30 votes you can fit in your shop. Yeah, okay, we should have a meeting after. Okay.
After party.
Stop. All right, now I'd like to bring our Executive Director, Delene Taylor, Paul Harris Fellow, to do announcements.
Well, I would like to say a huge thank you to Robin and Stella for showing up today. To go off script for a second, I am, because you guys are family, right? I am a perfectionist and a people pleaser, and those qualities do not necessarily go well together, especially in a time where things shift by the hour. And while I was in Florida for a family funeral, 4 of our 5 first speakers of the year asked to reschedule. So it may appear smooth today, but it has been a little crazy. And so I have reached out to people like my friends Robin and Stella and said, can you please rescue me and come speak to Rotary? And so we were bouncing around a little bit on the slides, but I'm so thankful that you guys were able to be with us. And I could listen to you for hours, just the accent. You could read the phone book, anytime. But, my first experience in South Africa was at the emergency room or care center. As soon as I got there, I was very, very ill, and that was the first place we went. But beautiful country. All right, so let's get on to the announcements. All right, our next week will feature Chris Goode, CEO of Climavision, a global game changer that is alleviating the burden of expensive weather infrastructure with proprietary technology that will help mitigate the risk and losses from increasingly volatile weather. We're talking about loss of life as well as loss of property. I heard him speak at Venture Connectors yesterday. It was fascinating. It made my brain hurt, honestly, what he's doing, but he is a global game changer, and I hope you will make time to come next week. We are also going to have, let's see, I'll go on and we are also going to have an update from the Community Impact Committee, a 2-part update. The first 15 minutes will be next week, and then the second follow-up session will be the following week from Denise Sears and Luke Schmidt, telling about a transformative project, the largest our club has ever undertaken. So please make plans to be here on the 20th and the 27th. On the 27th, we will have an economic outlook update from IU Southeast Sanders Chair in Business, Dr. Yurt Dufresne. And the mayor's annual, as was mentioned, and final State of the City address will be on February 10th at the Kentucky International Convention Center. The RSVP link will open as soon as the final pricing is worked out with the catering company. We are hoping to have a business synergy event at Ntaba, but our next business synergy event will be hosted by Rotarian Ingrid Hernandez, who is the president of Ingrid Design, at her new location on Baxter Avenue from 5 to 7 on Wednesday, February 16th. Please invite a guest or two. We need to increase the membership of our club, and this is the perfect opportunity for them to get acquainted with us in a casual environment. We still need volunteers for our project at Valley High School, where we've teamed up with the NAACP to challenge 9th grade students to develop ideas for how we can build interest in membership in our respective organizations. Please consider investing an hour or two of your time. See Walt or Rick Harnett for more details and to sign up. Please mark these dates for upcoming Rotary Honor Scholars mentoring sessions. And please remember to note upcoming meeting and event dates at the bottom of your weekly Sparks email or by logging into DACDB and viewing the calendar. And now it's time to wish a happy birthday to our Rotarians who will be celebrating birthdays between now and our next meeting. And back to you, President Jean.
Thank you.
Let's take your positions, Craig Sherman over here at what is Rotary table. And would you please, Rotarians, please go in the back and see some of Herb's work and or be back there so that you can talk to folks and tell us where we can find them and how you create those beautiful things. All right, everybody, thank you so much for coming in person. Thank you for joining us on Zoom. Do good, have fun doing it. This meeting is adjourned.